Good morning, class 9. Today we are going to start a new chapter in civics, democratic rights, and we shall start from rights in a democracy. You would perhaps desire a system where security, dignity, and fair play are assured to everyone. You might want, for example, that no one should be arrested without proper reason and information. And if someone is arrested, he or she should have a fair chance to defend themselves. You might agree that such assurance cannot apply to everything. One has to be reasonable in what one expects and demands of everyone else. For one has to grant the same to everyone. But you might insist that the assurance does not remain on paper, that there is someone to enforce these assurances, that those who violate these are punished. In other words, you might want a system where at least a minimum is guaranteed to everyone, powerful or weak. This is the spirit behind thinking about rights. What are rights? Now underline the definition. Rights are claims of a person over other fellow beings. Rights are claims of a person over other fellow beings, over society or over the government. All of us want to live happily without fear and without being subjected to degraded treatment. For this, we expect others to behave in such a way that does not harm us or hurt us. Equally, our actions should not also harm or hurt others. So, a right is possible when you make a claim that is equally possible for others. That means if we want rights for ourselves, we should also safeguard others' rights. You cannot have a right that harms or hurts others. You cannot have a right to play a game in such a way that it breaks the neighbor's window. The Serbs in Yugoslavia could not have claimed the whole country for themselves. The claims we make should be reasonable. They should be such that can be made available to others in an equal measure. Thus, a right comes with an obligation to respect others' rights. That means we must always keep this in mind that we must protect others' rights while we ensure that we get our own rights. Just because we claim something, it does not become our right. It has to be recognized by the society we live in. Rights acquire meaning only in society. Every society makes certain rules to regulate our conduct. They tell us what is right and what is wrong. What is recognized by the society as rightful becomes the basis of rights. That is why the notion of rights changes from time to time and society to society. 200 years ago, anyone who said that women should have the right to vote would have sounded strange. Today, not granting them vote in Saudi Arabia appears strange. When the socially recognized claims are written into law, they acquire real force. That means when they get legal sanction. When our rights and claims get legal sanction, then they have real force. They become really fruitful, really forceful. Otherwise, they remain merely as natural or moral rights. The prisoners in Guantanamo Bay had a moral claim not to be tortured or humiliated. But they could not go to anyone to enforce this claim. When law recognizes some claims, they become enforceable. We can then demand their application. When fellow citizens or the government do not respect these rights, we call it violation or infringement of our rights. In such circumstances, citizens can approach courts to protect their rights. So, if we want to call any claim a right, it has to have three qualities. Rights are reasonable claims of persons recognized by society and sanctioned by law. This is the perfect definition of rights. Why do we need rights in a democracy? Rights are necessary for the very sustenance of a democracy. That means if we want democracy to exist, then rights are very necessary. In a democracy, every citizen has to have the right to vote and the right to be elected to government. For democratic elections to take place, it is necessary that citizens should have the right to express their opinion, form political parties, and take part in political activities. Rights also perform a very special role in democracy. Rights protect minorities from the oppression of majority. They ensure that the majority cannot do whatever it likes. Rights are guarantees which can be used when things go wrong. Things may go wrong when some citizens may wish to take away the rights of others. This usually happens when those in majority want to dominate those in minority. The government should protect the the government should protect the citizens' rights in such a situation. But sometimes elected governments may not protect or may even attack the rights of their own citizens. That is why some rights need to be placed higher than the government so that the government cannot violate them. In most democracies, the basic rights of the citizen are written down in the constitution. Now, we shall start from right to equality. The Constitution says that the government shall not deny to any person in India equality before law or equal protection of the laws. It means that laws apply in the same manner to all, regardless of a person's status. This is called the rule of law. Rule of law is the foundation of any democracy. It means that no person is above law. There cannot be any distinction between a political leader, a government official, or an ordinary citizen. Every citizen, from the Prime Minister to a small farmer in a remote village, is subjected to the same laws. That means all have the same laws. Laws are same for everybody. No person can legally claim any special treatment or privilege just because he or she happens to be an important person. For example, a few years ago, a former prime minister of the country faced a court case on charges of cheating. The court finally declared that he was not guilty. But as long as the case continued, he had to go to the court, give evidence, and file papers just like any other citizen. This basic position is further clarified in the Constitution by spelling out some implications of the right to equality. The government shall not discriminate against any citizens on grounds only of religion, caste, creed, sex, or place of birth. Every citizen shall have access to public places. So here everywhere right to equality is exercised. Every citizen shall have access to public places like shops, restaurants, hotels, and cinema halls. Similarly, there shall be no restriction with regard to use of wells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, playgrounds, and places of public resorts maintained by the government or dedicated to the use of general public. This might appear very obvious, but it is very necessary to incorporate these rights in the constitution of our country, where the traditional caste system did not allow people from some communities to access all public places. Everybody knows that in ancient times, the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, such kind of minority groups of people were not allowed to visit the same temples, draw water from the wells, etc. But now, right to equality has been given to all. The same principle applies to public jobs. All citizens have equality of opportunity in matters relating to employment or appointment to any position in the government. No citizen shall be discriminated against or made ineligible for employment on grounds mentioned above. You have read in chapter 5 that the government of India has provided reservations for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. Various governments have different schemes for giving preference to women, poor, or physically handicapped in some kinds of jobs. Are these reservations against the right to equality? They are not. For equality does not mean giving everyone the same treatment, no matter what they need. Equality means giving everyone an equal opportunity to achieve whatever one is capable of. Sometimes it is necessary to give special treatment to someone in order to pursue in order to ensure equal opportunity. This is what job reservations do. Just to clarify this, the Constitution says that reservations of this kind are not a violation of right to equality. The principle of non discrimination extends to social life as well. The Constitution mentions one extreme form of social discrimination, the practice of untouchability, and clearly directs the government to put an end to it. The practice of untouchability has been forbidden in any form. Untouchability here does not mean refusal to touch people belonging to certain castes. It refers to any belief or social practice which looks down upon people on account of their birth with certain caste labels. Such practice denies them interaction with others or access to public places as equal citizens. So the Constitution made untouchability a punishable offense. Right to freedom. Freedom means absence of constraints, that means absence of any kind of check. In practical life, it means absence of interference in our affairs by others, be it other individuals or the government. We want to live in a society, but we want to be free. We want to do things in the way we want to do them. Others should not dictate us what we should do. So, under the Indian Constitution, all citizens have the right to freedom of speech and expression, assembly in a peaceful manner, form associations and unions, move freely throughout the country, reside in any part of the country, and practice any profession or to carry out any occupation, trade, or business. So, such kind of freedoms have been given to the citizens. You should remember that every citizen has the right to all these freedoms. That means you cannot exercise your freedom in such a manner that violates others' rights to freedom. That means we have to keep this in mind that we should exercise our freedom in such a way that we don't interfere in others' freedom. Your freedom should not cause public nuisance or disorder. You are free to do everything which injures no one else. Freedom is not unlimited license to do what one wants. Accordingly, the government can impose certain reasonable restrictions on our freedoms in the larger interests of the society. Freedom of speech and freedom of expression, this is also very important, is one of the essential features of any democracy. Our ideas and personality develop only when we are able to freely communicate with others. You may think differently from others. Even if 100 people think in one way, you should have the freedom to think differently and express your views accordingly. You may disagree with the policy of government or activities of an association. You are free to criticize the government or the activities of the association in your conversation with parents, friends, and relatives. You may publicize your views through a pamphlet, magazine, or newspaper. You can do it through paintings, poetry, or songs. However, you cannot use this freedom to instigate violence against others. That means you can do anything to express your freedom, to express your views freely, but you should not encourage violence through your freedom. You cannot use it to incite people to rebel against the government. Neither can you use it to defame others by saying false and mean things that cause damage to a person's reputation. That is not freedom. Citizens have the freedom to hold meetings, processions, rallies, and demonstrations on any issue. They may want to discuss a problem, exchange ideas, mobilize public support to a cause, or seek votes for a candidate or party in an election. But such meetings have to be peaceful. They should not lead to public disorder or breach of peace in society. Those who participate in these activities and meetings should not carry weapons with them. Citizens also can form associations. For example, workers in a factory can form workers' union to promote their interests. Some people in a town may come together to form an association to campaign against corruption or pollution. As citizens, we have the freedom to travel to any part of the country. We are free to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India. Let us say a person who belongs to the state of Assam wants to start a business in Hyderabad. He may not have any connection with that city. He may not have even ever seen it ever. Yet, as a citizen of India, he has the right to set up base there. This right allows lakhs of people to migrate from villages to towns and from poorer regions of the countries to prosperous regions and big cities. The same freedom extends to choice of occupations. No one can force you to do or not to do a certain job. Women cannot be told that some kinds of occupations are not for them. People from deprived castes cannot be kept to their traditional occupations. The Constitution says that no person can be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. It means that no person can be killed unless the court has ordered a death sentence. It also means that a government or police officer cannot arrest or detain any citizen unless he has a proper legal justification. Even when they do, they have to follow some procedures. A person who is arrested and detained in custody will have to be informed for the reasons for such arrest and detention. So, pre-hand information is given if a person has to be arrested. A person who is arrested and detained shall be produced before the nearest magistrate within the period of 24 hours of arrest. Such person has the right to consult a lawyer or engage a lawyer for his defense. Let us okay, this we are not going to do. So the police can't just go to any person's house and say that I am arresting you. There should be a proper reason which has to be given. He can consult a lawyer for his defense, and he has to be produced before the nearest magistrate in 24 hours. So such kind of freedoms are everybody's freedoms, and we should make sure that in enjoying our freedom we do not interfere in other person's freedom. Now in our next class we are going to start from right against exploitation. Thank you, children.